Hello everyone, so today we are going to be making some spaghetti in meat sauce. Kind of my favorite meal. So first thing that we always want to do is we always want to wash our hands before we kind of get started cooking. Alright, so now that we have done that, as you can tell, we have some of the ingredients out. I do already have the water boiling for the noodles and everything like that. Alright, so the next step is, first up is going to be kind of cutting our onion and kind of getting that chopped. So again, we have some different cutting options. So we have like a normal knife, but if you don't like it, we have this knife as well. It's a little bit easier to hold on to. We also have a plastic knife, or we even have, which I'm going to be using today, we have this. We'll be chopping up our onions to go with our meat. And when we brown the meat. So first thing is I want to cut off the end of the onion that I'm not going to be using. On both sides. Next, so this is again an alternative method. So if you do not like do not like knives, a little bit safer. So you can still chop up your onion just fine. So now that we have our onion chopped, I'm going to bring the pan over to me. And I'm going to just pick up that onion, everything like that, and get it in there. We're going to be cooking the onion up while we cook the beef up. Okay. We are using a non-stick pan again, that way the meat won't stick or anything like that. And we are going to be turning this to about medium, a little bit over medium, and just kind of letting the meat brown. Okay. See? Our water has already come to a boil, which is good for the next step that we need to do. So, along with those, that's got my spoon. That is alright. For meat, we're going to add in just a teaspoon of salt. And what we were looking for right now as we were cooking the beef and everything like that is we're going to look for it to be brown. So this is kind of like a browning process, things like that. So, as we're kind of letting the meat kind of come to temperature and get to brown, what we are going to move on to is actually opening kind of our tomato sauce just so it's already kind of ready to go for when we need it. So this is a can opener. We're gonna, there we go, put it on just like that. You're gonna dial it so we can open up the can of our tomato sauce. Now there's many different options, so you can get a can of already made spaghetti sauce and everything like that. For this video and everything, you're actually going to be making kind of our own sauce. So those are what we have all those spices for and things like that. So we have garlic, some oregano, and some thyme. You can see our beef is slowly cooking there. So, as our beef is cooking and everything, and we still have our boiling water and everything, which is going to be handy because as soon as the beef is done, we will be adding in our noodles. So also when you're kind of sometimes cooking beef and everything, sometimes you want to take your spatula and just kind of rotate your wrist with the spatula just to kind of crumble up the meat and everything like that. The smaller pieces will allow the beef to cook a little bit faster. Than if it's all kind of clumped together. So one thing that my grandma actually showed me, that sometimes it can be, you want to kind of drain some of the grease and everything. So, and we'll do this once it ends, but what I like to do is I like to take a little bit of a paper towel, you can put it in there and it soaks it up. So we'll be demonstrating that once our beef is fully cooked. Because it can sometimes be intimidating to either, you can take a spoon as well and kind of scoop it into a thing, so we'll show you a couple of different ways that you can get some of the excess grease out of the beef once it is fully cooked. So as you can see, it starts turning that nice brown color that we're looking for. There's not too much pink anymore. Just like that. So perfect. So, now that our beef is all brown, our water has come to a boil, we are looking pretty good for the next step. So, the next step is what we are going to do before we add in our tomato sauce. See, our water still hit a boil. Is we are going to kind of drain some of this excess fat before we put the spaghetti noodles in. So I have a little bowl that we're going to put right here. And again, the one technique that my grandma actually showed me is you can dab in a little bit of paper towel and it will actually soak up some of that grease for you. Makes it a little bit easier to get it all out. Do you want to be careful because it is hot? So you don't want to like jab your fingers in, you almost want to let it kind of creep up the paper towel and give yourself a good 4 or 5 inches away from the grease. And you can put that right into the bowl. Get another paper towel, there's some extra grease, and so you're going to get more grease or less grease depending on the type of beef that you purchase. So you can go all the way down to I think 70%, which is going to be 70% beef, 30% fat. What we use today is kind of your regular 80% to 20. And if it's a little bit more expensive, but you could get 90% to 10, or even I think the best one is like 94% to 6% fat. And then you want to have as much excess fat as well. So if you're looking to make this a little bit heart healthy and things like that at times too, this is one of those ways. And there you go. As you can see, we got rid of a lot of the grease that was in there. And then we are going to add our jar of tomato sauce. And then we're just going to let that come to temperature before we add in our spices. Now that we have this boiling water and everything like that, we are going to add in our spaghetti noodles. So when you do split your spaghetti, you always want to go down, because if you go down, it's going to end up into the bowl. If you go up, you might have them go all over the place, and you have a little bit more of a mess for yourself to clean up. There we go. So I'm going to put the lid back on. So now we have our noodles boiling and everything like that. Because this is a metal pan, if you want, you can take your metal spoon with the strainer kind of move them around just to get them in there. Place that right there. And now we can get started on some of the more fun things, which is going to be making this a tomato sauce that is going to taste good and all that we will enjoy. So one thing is that you will want to add in 1 tablespoon of garlic, which is going to come out to about 2 cloves of normal garlic. So we can mix that in. We then are going to also want to add in about 1/2 tablespoon of oregano. So since the oregano is over here, you can also do this and make it a little bit extra in there. That is okay. Just be more spices and more flavor that you can enjoy. You can add in a little bit of thyme. It's about 1/2 tablespoon of thyme, or a teaspoon. And let that all come together. And again, if you think the tomato sauce is a little bit of bland, you can always add in some more spices and things like that, which will help it come more together. You can see our noodles here. They are boiling, and we are going to let them boil for about, I know we put them on and it's already been about 3 minutes or so, so they're probably about 7 minutes or more to boil. So while those are boiling, I'm going to get calendar for the sink already set up, so when those noodles are done, we can strain them and have them all ready to go. As you can see, our spaghetti sauce here is boiling. It's coming along pretty well. See, our pasta's really boiling now. I'll actually take off the lid so we kind of see into it. I'm going to take the middle spoon again just to kind of rotate the pasta. And also allow for you to see kind of what it looks like when it's boiling. So I want to make sure to turn that towards the outside. So again, I don't bump it if you have it in here. So some kitchen safety is being aware of where your handles are. That way you don't bump them and everything like that, which could harm you or be dangerous while cooking. Alright, also cooking and you get some of the steam and things like that, if in your kitchen you have a fan, you may want to turn it on. Just to a low setting and things like that, just so the steam, gets vented out and everything like that. So, because if you do have a lot of smoke while cooking, it could set off the fire alarms, and we also don't want that to happen. All right. So, as you can see, our tomato sauce is kind of come to a good boil and things like that. So we know that that is one. So I'm actually going to turn that down to more of a low setting just to kind of let it simmer and things like that. Also, I'm going to make sure that when I put my spatulas, I'm going to put them towards the back of the stove so they're not close to the burners. So if you're curious what it kind of looks like when a pasta is cooking, or is it not done, or is it done, you can kind of pick it up. And if it's still pretty rigid and things like that, it's probably still not close to being done. Especially a spaghetti noodle is more flexible and everything like that, that is when you know it's softer and more good to go. So again, sometimes hot, so you do want to be careful. But this is a trick also that my grandma showed me, is that if you throw it and it sticks to things, that it is close to being done. If it falls off right away, then it is not done. So, but again, you want to be careful when doing that because it is hot. And that's where cooking can kind of be fun. So this noodles, however, are almost done and just need a little bit longer. You can see it's been another 2 minutes and they're a lot more flexible than what they are. About 9:48 is when I'm actually going to remove these. That would be when the time is up. As you can see, they are a lot more flimsy than what they were before. Yeah, it's not rigid or anything. like that. And I would say that this is one done noodle. And that we are actually going to turn our stove off. I'm going to let it cool just a little bit. And then I'm going to strain it. Okay, so when straining, you already want to have your colander ready to go in your sink and everything like that. This is a good one because it has a little bit of a stand. So I'm going to go right there. And then depending on the temperature, if your handle is hot or not, you may want to grab an oven mitt or anything like that. This one isn't hot at all, so I feel comfortable and prepared to handle it just like this. I'm going to take it, and then I'm going to try to be as careful as possible to make sure not to get any boiling water on me. And then I am just going to go like that. And so I'm going to put this pot on this back burner here, just to make sure to let that one kind of cool down. I'm going to take the pasta, right, and I'm going to go like this, just kind of letting that water strain from it, because I don't really want any watery spaghetti. That's just not something that I really enjoy. And then I am going to go right back here into that pot. Now, glass noodles. And our sauce is also done. So, now let me kind of move this. So now you can do this one or two ways. I personally like when I kind of get to sauce my own spaghetti and have that fun to it. So I'm going to take a bowl. I'm going to take my pasta holder right here. I'm going to get a good helping of spaghetti. And I'm going to grab a ladle and get myself some sauce. Kind of drizzle it on top for how much sauce I want. Now again, this is super hot, so I'm going to actually let it kind of sit in the bowl and give it about 5 minutes or so to cool down. But as you can see, I have my good, wonderful dinner of some spaghetti and meat sauce all ready to go. That is that. Alright, last but not least, I almost forgot to add my favorite part, the Parmesan cheese to the end. So I like to just sprinkle some Parmesan cheese right there on top. Even if you have grated Parmesan cheese where you shake it on top, I just think it adds a wonderful touch. And now we're all good.